Good afternoon, Mole Class. Welcome to another episode of Slime. It's very exciting. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's nice sun shining where I live, so that's quite nice. Enjoying the garden and enjoying, looking out at the beautiful sun. So we're going to carry on. Okay, we are now at chapter. Oh gosh, we're not at the beginning of a chapter. Oh look, I've just seen this. Didn't see that before. Underneath the book cover. Very exciting. Okay, so we are in the middle of a chapter. We just finished yesterday the rules at the School of Mulch for Revolting Children. So, Ned was one of the hundreds of children who'd been expelled from the school over the years. The headmaster had expelled so many that there were now more teachers than there were children at the school, as this handy graph shows. But now Ned was back, and he was ready for revenge. There you go, there's the graph showing that. I can't see that. The teachers have steadily grown and gone down and up and down, and the students have gone boo, 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 boo. So more teachers and students. How odd. Chapter 11, Blazing Bottom. Mr. Rath had been careful not to expel all the children at his school. If he did, there would be no children left to expel. And he loved expelling children. Once, a child on their very first day at the school was expelled for skipping through the school gates. It was a new record for Mr. Rath, expelling a child who'd been at the school for less than 3 seconds. As for Ned, the boy was expelled for the simple crime of laughing. In fairness to Mr. Rath, the boy was laughing because in art class the pupils were charged with decorating an egg for Easter, and Ned had painted his egg to look exactly like Mr. Rath. This was much to his and everyone else's amusement. "You boy!" he bellowed to the headmaster. "What are you doing back in my school? You are expelled!" There you go, the egg and the real Mr. Rath. "Hello again, sir," chirped Ned. He didn't sound too bothered. It is impossible to be expelled when you have already been expelled. "And what on earth is this monstrosity you have brought with you?" spat Rath. "What a dreadful man," murmured Slime. "Whatever shall we do with him?" Ned thought for a moment. "We need to teach the headmaster a lesson. Us kids have suffered his rages for long enough. Rath is always in a rage about nothing. Let's finally give him something to be really, really, really angry about." "Splendid. Now let me think." "Too late, Blobby," shouted Mr. Rath. "I am going to punish this boy severely. Did you hear me? Severely." With that, the headmaster whipped out the long wooden ruler he'd been concealing under his cloak. Rath lunged at the boy, ready to strike. Thwack, 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 went the ruler as it shot through the air. Just as Mr. Rath was about to cause Ned excruciating pain, Slime shapeshifted into a giant octopus. A sloctopus. One of the sloctopus's arms wrestled the ruler from the headmaster, while another looped round the man's ankle. Before Mr. Rath could shout, "Expelled!" the sloctopus lifted him high into the air. Ned laughed as he looked up to see his old headmaster upside down above him. "I will get you for this, boy!" screamed Mr. Rath. "I'm not sure you will," replied the boy. "Let him go!" shouted the teachers gathered in the playground. "Actually, I don't mind if you keep him," muttered the bearded deputy head. Mr. Lust had been lusting after the top job at the school. "What now, my young friend?" asked the sloctopus. "Spin Mr. Rath round like he spins round that ruler of his," replied the boy. "I don't mind if I do." So the sloctopus spun the headmaster faster and faster and faster still. It was as if Mr. Rath was on a particularly puke-tastic fairground ride. Remember, if you want to see the pictures, just pause the video and you can have a more detailed look. "Let go, now!" commanded Ned. The sloctopus released its grip, and Mr. Rath went flying off through the air. Whizz! "Ah!" he cried as he zoomed up above the clouds. There was an eerie silence for a moment when it looked as if Mr. Rath might be heading for outer space. A sound of whistling cut through the quiet. All eyes in the playground searched the sky. "There!" shouted Ned. "What a shame," muttered Mr. Lust, stroking his beard. There was a tiny glow of red light high in the morning sky. As it began to descend, Ned exclaimed, "It's Mr. Rat's bottom burning up as he re-enters the atmosphere!" Before you complain to me about this, let me inform you, this is science. The Apollo 11 spacecraft returning from 1969 mission to the moon, and Mr. Rat's bottom. Compare. There you go. "Ah!" cried Mr. Rat as he plunged through the sky. Fortunately for the headmaster, he crash-landed into the sea. Splosh! There was the sound of sizzling, zzz, as the water put out the blazing fire on Mr. Rat's bottom cheeks. Then the headmaster cried, "Help! I can't swim!" "Let's not be too hasty," remarked Mr. Lust. "Tea and biscuits, anyone?" Ned nodded to Slime. They couldn't let the man drown. The Sloctopus reached out one of its arms. It grew longer and longer and longer still until it reached all the way into the sea. Then the Sloctopus plucked up the headmaster, who was bobbing in the waves, and deposited him back on the playground. Splat! All the teachers had to stifle their giggles at the sight of the headmaster looking most undignified. Rat was soaking wet, and the seat of his trousers had burned right through. Everyone could see his bright red bottom still blazing from his descent. It was so red it looked like a baboon's bottom. All the skilled schoolchildren still had their faces pressed up against the classroom windows. Now they were laughing at the headmaster too. No one laughed harder than Old Man Giles, the 92-year-old pupil whose punishment was being put down a year every year. He had been at Mulch School the longest, 87 years to be precise. "Ha, ha, ha!" Old Man Giles chortled so hard that his false teeth shot out and hit the window. Plunk! This only made him laugh more. "Ha, ha, 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 ha!" If Wrath were an egg, he would now be scrambled. "Goodbye, sir," chirped Ned sarcastically. The Sloctopus transformed into a hot air balloon, and it whisked the boy up from the bench and into the sky. "My ruler!" bellowed Wrath. On cue, the saloon dropped the ruler, and it landed on the headmaster's head with a clunk. Laughed all the children. "Do come back again soon and finish him off, please," called out Mr. Lust. Chapter 12. Cold Hearts. As Ned floated across the sky in his hot air balloon made of slime, he looked down on the little island he called home. Not far from the school was Mulch's toy shop, Envy's Emporium. You see that? "There!" he shouted to Slime. "Down we go," replied his friend. The toy shop belonged to twin brothers, Edmund and Edmond Envy. The duo dressed identically in matching waistcoats and bow ties. Their hair was too young for their craggy old faces. It was permed tightly and dyed so black it was blue. Yeah, Edmund and Edmond. However, what Edmund and Edmond were most well known for was their nastiness. The pair hated children. Some thought they only ran a toy shop so they could hate children more. As for the children of Mulch, it was the only toy shop on the island, so they had no choice. If they wanted a toy, they had to go to Envy's Emporium. Why did Edmund and Edmond hate children so much? Because they envied them. The twins were bitter that they were old and ruined. Years and years of sniping and snarking and snumping at each other had chilled their hearts. They hated each other nearly as much as they hated children. Envy's Emporium was no ordinary toy shop. In amongst the cars, dolls and games you would expect to find in any toy shop, the twins had added some of their own special surprises. An Envy's Emporium Snakes and Ladders set, where there are no ladders, just snakes on every single square. A toy telephone that never ever stops ringing so it drives you bananas. A rocking horse inside which the twins had placed a hidden motor. It rocks so fast it hurtles the rider off. A baby doll that not only cries real tears, but also does number ones and number twos. Pooh. Their own version of the game operation. There is no electric buzz, but an electric shock when you touch the sides. The electric shock is so powerful, it will throw you across a room and leave you in dire need of an operation yourself. A 999 piece? Oh, no. A 999,999 piece jigsaw. It says million piece jigsaw on the box, but the terrible twins have removed one piece. You would finally get to the end after a decade and still not be able to complete it. A trike where they have taken the seat off and replaced it with a fork. So every time you sit down to pedal, you get an ouch-tastic pain in your bottom. These were the perfect toys to bring terror to children. Now Ned was determined to turn the tables on them. I'll stop there for today. We'll start chapter 13, Clockwork Robot, tomorrow. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow for another episode of Slime. Bye-bye!